Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayam udhirayat. The verse for the morning. Harer gunakshipta matir Bhagavan Badarayani Adyagan Mahad Agyanam Nityam Vishnu Jana Priya Harir Gunakshita Matir Bhagavan Badarayani Adyagan Mahad Agyanam Nityam Vishnu Jana Priya Harer Gunakshita Matir Bhagavan Badarayani Hare of Hari, the personality of Godhead. Guna, transcendental attribute. Akshipta, being absorbed in. Matihi, mind. Bhagavan, powerful. Badarayanihi, the son of Vyasadeva. Adyagat, underwent studies. Mahat, great. Akhyanam, narration. Nityam, regularly. Vishnu Jana, devotees of the Lord. Priyaha, beloved. Translation: Srila Shukadeva Goswami, son of Vyasadeva, was not only transcendentally powerful, he was very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus, he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul even within the womb of his mother. Srila Vyasadeva knew that the child after his birth would not stay at home. Therefore, he, Vyasadeva, impressed upon him the synopsis of Bhagavatam so that the child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord after his birth. The child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poems, paragraph. The idea is that generally the liberated souls are attached to the feature of the impersonal Brahman with the monistic view of becoming one with the Supreme, but by the association of pure devotees like Vyasadeva, even the liberated soul becomes attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord by the mercy of Sri Narada, Srila Vyasadeva was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam, and by the mercy of Vyasa Deva, Srila Shukadeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Srila Shukadeva Goswami became detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively took up the personal activity of the Lord. Practically, he was thrown from the impersonal conception of the Absolute, thinking within himself that he had simply wasted so much time in devoting himself to the impersonal feature of the Supreme, or, in other words, he realized more transcendental bliss with the personal feature than the impersonal. And from that time, not only did he himself become very dear to the Vishnu Janas, or the devotees of the Lord, but also the Vishnu Janas became very dear to him. The devotees of the Lord, who do not wish to kill the individuality of the living entities, and who desire to become personal servitors of the Lord, do not very much like the impersonalists. And similarly, the impersonalists who desire to become one with the Supreme are unable to evaluate the devotees of the Lord. Thus, from time immemorial, these two transcendental pilgrims have sometimes been competitors. In other words, each of them likes to keep separate from the other because of the ultimate personal and impersonal realizations. Therefore, it appears that Srila Shukadeva Goswami also had no liking for the devotees, but since he himself became a saturated devotee, he desired always the transcendental association of the Vishnu Janas, and the Vishnu Janas also liked his association since he became a personal Bhagavata. Thus, both the son and the father are completely cognizant of transcendental knowledge in Brahman, and afterwards both of them became absorbed in the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. The question as to how Shukadeva Goswami was attracted by the narration of the Bhagavatam is thus completely answered by this sloka. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jananjana Silakaya Chakshurmiritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. This verse is the verse immediately following the very celebrated Atmarama verse. And the Atmarama verse is in the context of this verse, also in the context of after Shukadeva Goswami was born. There's long, very interesting history of how that happened. He remained within the womb of his mother for a number of years. Sometimes it says 12, sometimes it says 16. Poor mother. And only when Vyasadeva went all the way to Dwarka, invited Krishna, come and help. My son won't come out of the womb. So Krishna came. And Krishna promised Shukadeva, you won't become subject to Maya, because he had an aversion to Maya. And with that, he left the womb. This purport indicates, even before Shukadeva was born, Vyasa, Trikala Gya Vyasa, knew he would leave home. And so he instructed him in the essence of the Bhagavatam before, so he at least had some facility, some attraction, and mentioned more than one place that he was Brahman realized within the womb. And then he left. As was known, he would leave, and Vyas enticed him to come back by recitation of slokas from the Bhagavatam. And hearing the slokas, he wanted to come back and hear more and hear more. So he became attracted. The message, the main message is, the Atmarama verse main message is that the characteristics of the personality of Godhead are not within the material realm. What he heard and what Srimad Bhagavatam presents is not subject matter of this world. Say it again. Those who have impersonal realization are beyond attraction for things material. So he who was fully Brahman realized became attracted. Therefore, logically, or there's some evidence that the qualities, name, form, pastimes of Krishna are in the transcendental realm. The Srimad Bhagavatam is therefore a literature that's fully in the transcendental realm, and therefore honored so much. And another feature of the verse is that he, Shukadev, became very dear to the Vishnu Janas. The Vishnu Janas became very dear to him. And for that matter, the personality of Godhead became very dear to Shukadev Goswami, and Shukadev Goswami became very dear to the personality of Godhead, as well as to his father and mother, and all the devotees, but specifically unto Krishna. As he had become attracted to the qualities of Krishna, Krishna became attracted to the qualities of Shukadev Goswami. It's called the relationship, transcendental relationship, mutual admiration society. The gift that Srila Prabhupada, one of the principal gifts that Srila Prabhupada came to the Western countries to give was Srimad Bhagavatam. There's many ways to describe what he came to give. He came to give the Yuga Dharma. He came to give the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That was the instruction. The teachings of Lord Chaitanya certainly say, chant the holy name. The teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam also say, receive this message of Krishna and assimilate the message and pass that message on to others. That's the message of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada came to give that nice message. And, that the personality of Godhead is Sri Krishna, which is the message of Srimad Bhagavatam right from the very first verse and to the very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Some of the Prabhupada disciples will probably remember this incident. Prabhupada was so focused on Srimad Bhagavatam and making the entire, as he described again and again, 60 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. He had the vision of how many pages it would take to cover each canto, and assiduously working on making that available to the world. Meaning not only English speaking, but then translations and so forth. Very, very focused. I remember summer of 1970, much to my surprise, another book came out Even before that, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You know, the 5 sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita that are the instruction, shiksha, sections of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, 5, and covering each one of them. Not all the Leela, but the teachings, because that was his mandate. And then Nectar of Devotion. I remember specifically, as busy as we were, you've heard yesterday the descriptions of what the early days in the Hare Krishna movement were like. Nonetheless, the mandate from our founder Acharya was morning class, evening class, Mangal Arati, and etc. The sadhana, and structured, where there's temples at least. And then morning class, Bhagavatam, evening class, Bhagavad Gita, every day. And then suddenly came Nectar of Devotion. And just my subjective experience of that is, what's this? Didn't know who was Rupa Goswami, didn't know the relationship of Rupa Goswami and Lord Chaitanya's teachings, although it's there in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. But then it was mandated we were to have a 3rd class every day. And so we did. Morning Bhagavatam, lunch, after lunch, not before lunch. Nectar Devotion for 1 hour. As busy as we were in spreading Krishna consciousness, every day Nectar Devotion. Because what's Nectar Devotion? It's the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami. Of course, found in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that verse that I spoke from yesterday was from that section, Rupa Shiksha. Very extensive. Lord Chaitanya teaching the science of bhakti. Because Lord Chaitanya came to give bhakti, and he gave the teachings of bhakti through Rupa, and Rupa wrote them. Rupa was empowered to understand everything that Lord Chaitanya said. Imagine. And he said very elevated things, but basic things, but understand everything, and empowered to write it. And so he did. And Prabhupada provided us with Nectar of Devotion, the summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I wanted to read from a little section from Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is Characteristics of Pure Devotional Service. And there's 5 characteristics, and the one I want to read from is the 5th. It's the end of the chapter, Attracting Krishna. It connects with being attracted to Krishna and Krishna being attracted to one who's attracted to Krishna. The relationship message. How Krishna becomes attracted by the devotional service of his devotee is described by Narada in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 10th chapter, verses 48 and 49. The context is 7th canto, 10th chapter. That's just at the very end of the narration of the story of Prahlad Maharaj. Not just the story of Prahlad Maharaj, the prayers, finally, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. Because there's many other things before his prayers, but that's where it ends. Narada is narrating all of this to Yudhisthira. Yudhisthira wants to hear the characteristics of Prahlad. To reciprocate with that request, Narada narrates several chapters. Not just the characteristics, but the whole pastime and his profound realizations, little boy. So, and that's the context. There, Narada addresses King Yudhisthira while the king is appreciating the glories of the character of Prahlad Maharaj. A devotee always appreciates the activities of other devotees, similar to Shukadev appreciating the Vishnu Janas appreciating Shukadev. Maharaj Yudhisthira was appreciating the qualities of Prahlad, and that is one symptom of a pure devotee. A pure devotee never thinks himself great. He always thinks that other devotees are greater than himself. The king was thinking, after hearing about Prahlad, Prahlad Maharaj is exactly a devotee of the Lord, while I am nothing, unquote. And while thinking this, he was addressed by Narada as follows. Now, it doesn't say that in the Bhagavatam. It's Prabhupada's, Rupa Goswami's explanation of what the unspoken thoughts of Yudhisthira were. Honoring, feeling oneself insignificant, unworthy, nothing. Not a nihilist, but, extreme humility. And while thinking this, he was addressed by Narada as follows, quote, "My dear Yudhisthira, you, parentheses, the Pandava brothers, are the only fortunate people in the world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared on this planet and is presenting himself to you as an ordinary human being. He is always with you in all circumstances. He is living with you and covering himself from the eyes of others. Others cannot understand that he is the Supreme Lord, but he is still living with you as your cousin, as your friend, and even as your messenger. Therefore, you must know that nobody in this world is more fortunate than you." So I decided to speak on this topic because I became inspired from what we heard yesterday. How fortunate are we? And it's not so difficult to go on and on about the fortune. But, Vamanadeva and the fortune that he received and his wife, Chitralekha, to receive from Prabhupada in the manner of how Prabhupada is a messenger from the spiritual world. And sent by Bhaktisiddhanta to bring us. On more than one occasion, Prabhupada said, "My spiritual master was very kind. He sent so many of his representatives to come and assist me." No, those persons who were assisting him weren't thinking, "I was sent by Bhaktisiddhanta to help Prabhupada." I'm nothing. It's easy to think we're most insignificant. And yet, the significant can use the most insignificant as an instrument. And appreciating those who, like Jivana Jivana's question was yesterday, if you took risks, went out on a limb. Prabhupada once said, "You American young people, you like to go out on a limb and wait to hear the limb crack, and then you rush back to the trunk of the tree. You take too many risks." But, something that's instructed, it's not a risk. The saving grace of the personality of God, the protective hand of the personality of Godhead is there. And Mission Impossible not only became possible, but so the Kali Yuga is marching on. It's not the golden age within the Iron Age doesn't mean around us Kali Yuga isn't marching on. Kali Yuga is marching on. Degradation is marching on. There's relief for those who take shelter. There's impact of some light upon others. We'll see it, the reverse. If the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hadn't taken place, degradation would be much more rapid. So it's reduced to some extent by the light in the dark age of Kali, given by the chanting of the holy name and the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Hare Krishna movement. When the mission that our founder Acharya has passed on to us, and we're the torchbearers. The light is his, or the light is Krishna's light, the light of the Bhagavatam, the light of Krishna, same. And there's opportunity, there's challenge, and there's opportunity. And there's the mandate of the service. There's no shortage of the mandate of the service. The shortage is we're too distracted or something, attached to something. And being unattached doesn't mean being irresponsible. Neglect your duties and trash them, and be responsible. At the same time, being responsible, perform prescribed duties, and always think of me. And always think of Krishna includes a whole bunch of things. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Engage in the activities of expanding. No one is more dear to me than he who. And then gives this message to others. So here we are. We're celebrating the 50th anniversary of something that started by the inspiration of our founder Acharya, and glory-worthy persons to speak about the sacrifices they made and the incredible, magical, humorous steps to get, to establish the temple and the deities and maintain, and then, and on and on. It takes purity. It takes commitment. And back to the verse, Shukadeva Goswami, of course, where would we be without Shukadeva Goswami, or his doing what he did? And the circumstance of his speaking the Bhagavatam was misfortune. It was actually great fortune. We all know Maharaj Pariksit cursed to die, and he wanted to know what's the duty of a man who's about to die. And for sure and certain, there's some things that aren't certain, but one thing is certain: we're all going to die, and we don't know when. So what's our duty? He 7 days, okay. How many days for any one of us? And supposing misfortune came, and before the end of the day, one of us or some of us or something, we leave our body. Are we ready? And it's not just, prepare yourself for death and kind of scare tactic. It's, what about the world that is in ignorance? What is there something that can be done for the world? There's something that can be done for the world is give the light of the Bhagavad and give the holy name, give Krishna Prasadam, give the message of the same instruction, the same activity that was given to our founder Acharya, that he did so superlatively, and we're still benefiting from, and continue to benefit from, and continue to spread that same benefit by the same method that he used. That's my understanding of what we're doing here, the 50th. Appreciate, honor those who took part in that whole procedure. Celebrate, take a deep breath, and then continue for another 50 years. The method isn't different, but it's a celebration. And there's a procedure. There's the recommended procedures in that path of celebrating. So, a yagya and this and that, they're parts of the schedule, but then there's the internal part besides the celebration part. And making a commitment. The essence of that commitment is that Krishna should be pleased. Krishna will be pleased if one becomes attracted to him, as the Atmarama verse in this little section that I read from Nectar Devotion. We can appreciate those devotees that made these great sacrifices, and we should. It's appropriate. It's a Vaishnava thing to do. And we should also, maybe not like Yudhishthira Maharaj feeling himself nothing, but, honoring the great souls that did all these amazing things. And then Narada turns it around to Yudhishthira, and so the message for all of us is, we're very fortunate. We're yes, who's significant? But we at the same time, the insignificant, each one of us has an opportunity, has been given an opportunity to be intimate servitors of this mission and carry it forward, a little part, some this, some that, something else. The little part people, just like, Vamanadeva, a carpenter. What can a carpenter do compared to somebody else that's got, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of power and position and something and something. So everyone's important. Doesn't matter position. The army needs a cook. The army needs foot soldiers. The army needs generals. The army needs all the parts of the army. And this is Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan army, temples from places from which the soldiers go out and fight the battle with Maya and share the happiness of Krishna Bhakti, attract the hearts and the minds of souls that are in La La Land, deluded by pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Till death do us part. And somehow, as the language of this morning's purport, forcibly, now we grab people by the collar, but by the force of the message of Krishna consciousness, forcibly carry someone from that misfortune position to a fortunate position. And we never know. I want to share one last little thing, and then I'll see if there's discussion. Shankar Pandit, do you know Parama Karuna, the disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, that travels around and distributes books?
Yes.
So somehow I got on his radar, and he sends me things from time to time of people he meets. And one of the recent ones was somewhere in North Carolina, some school that he visited 3 years ago, and then he visited again 2 years ago, and then he visited again this year. And 3 years ago, he met a young girl who was in her graduate studies, and she enthusiastically took a Bhagavad Gita and Nectar of Devotion. This is the You Never Know story. And she liked it. And then somehow I think they kept in touch because she was so enthusiastic. She got some beads, she started chanting. Then next time she got some more books, and this time he sent me a photograph. She bought an entire Srimad Bhagavatam set. She's standing there holding her Srimad Bhagavatam set in her hands. You know, small lady. You carried deities and Mridanga, and she's carrying a whole Bhagavatam set. In Chitraleka, yeah, I'm looking at you. One shoulder the Mridanga, the other shoulder the deities. Yeah. So then I asked Paramakruna, what do you do for following up with these people? And he gave an answer. And I said, ask her if she would like some systematic study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that she was very eager to. See, the first paycheck, she graduated, the first paycheck, the first expenditure, I want a Bhagavatam set. Who knows? Who knows of all those people that he meets, who's going to be that person or those persons? You never know. You never know. But something's out there. The mission is waiting us to be fulfilled. And so she said, sure. I just have to find something that matches my schedule. So we gave her 3 options, and this thing, that thing, the other thing. Systematic study of the Bhagavatam. And it's available for anybody. For your information, before I got here, I don't know of what was being inspired, churned with the distribution of sets of Bhagavatam for Bhadra Purnima, but as of yesterday afternoon, there were 4 people from this community that want a Bhagavatam set. And then, after they get the Bhagavatam set, how are they going to learn the Bhagavatam? So some system for that. One in Carbondale, maybe there'll be more. So it's just, you never know. You never know. But the mission is there, that much we know. And so we're instruments. We're little people. We're really little people. But the mission is big and powerful. And, behind us is our founder Acharya, giving us our marching orders. So march. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. So let's see if there's some discussion.
Maharaj, it's very interesting that you mentioned Padma Karuna and his interaction with this woman that purchased a set of Bhagavatams. Recently, Padma Karuna celebrated Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja
Yes.
in Chicago ISKCON.
Yes, I know.
During his offering to Srila Prabhupada on Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja Day, he offered a very emotional homage. For those of you who don't know Padma Karuna, he's a wonderful devotee who originally hails from Gujarat. His parents live maybe 10 minutes away from Chicago ISKCON. So Padma Karuna, very attached to his family, and of course they're very pious and his parents following ISKCON standards to a certain extent. So just give you a general idea. But Padma Karuna is a very, very empowered book distributor. And over the years, we would share Sankirtan book distribution stories. And he told me that he made an inner vow that he wanted to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books until his body drops. So during Padma Karuna's Vyasa Puja homage to Srila Prabhupada, he mentioned, Srila Prabhupada, you have given me this ability to distribute your books. I'm very, very grateful. He said, however, I'm feeling somewhat confused. And when he said that, it was like everyone's ears perked up because Padma Karuna is always
Focus.
yes, focused, very enthusiastic, very, very energetic. And he said, but lately I've been feeling somewhat confused and bewildered. He said, I just learned recently my father, while visiting London, passed away. And soon as Padma Karuna said that, he just started crying, tears just cascading down his cheeks. And then he said, my own Guru Maharaj, Gopal Krishna Swami, left this world just, what was it, maybe 2 months ago or so? And he said, so my biological father just left this world, and my spiritual father, my Guru Maharaj, left this world. Therefore, I'm feeling very vacant and very bewildered. And he just was crying, wiping his tears, very, very emotional. And then he said to Srila Prabhupada, please give me the strength so I can, despite these losses, I can remain strong, focused, so I can continue to distribute your books. And then he offered his dandavats and walked out of the temple room. And then later he came to me and he personally wanted to thank me for encouraging him to stay for Vyasa Puja. Because on Janmashtami night, Padma Karuna said, Shankar, early in the morning, I'm leaving Chicago, I'm going to, I forget what city, and my offering to Srila Prabhupada is just going to be to spend the whole day on book distribution. So I said, well, you're here, it's Janmashtami night, why not just observe Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja? He said, do you think other book distributors are doing that throughout the world? And I said, yes. He said, okay, I'll do it. So after he offered his emotional homage to Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to thank me for encouraging him to stay. And he just said, now I understand. I'm getting something in my heart. I can feel Srila Prabhupada's reciprocation. I'm feeling strong, focused. Right after prasadam, I'm driving to that city. He was with another brahmachari. And I'm going to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So, Padma Karuna Das. So thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that exchange that Padma Karuna had with...
Oh, there's dozens.
Yes, yes.
And more coming. Anyone else?
There's a lot of inspiration in that class, Maharaj. It was really beautiful. I maybe have a couple of questions. Some of the adjectives you used were really beautiful, especially this one about intimate service to Prabhupada. We all engage, whatever the small service that we might do, that's intimate service to the mission to Prabhupada.
Mm.
And it's so easy to lose sight of that. So someone may do something like a driving service or printing something or washing pots or whatever, but that's intimate service to the movement and the mission of Prabhupada. How would you recommend that as devotees, because we may not see this and have sight of that, the glorious vision, how do you recommend that devotees keep that aspect vibrant as opposed to thinking this is just a chore or my temple president is insisting that I do something and it becomes irritating or whatever? How How would you recommend that we keep this um, vision in the forefront?
I mentioned this yesterday, and it's a frame of reference that will be the answer to your question. Fundamental instruction from our founder Acharya, our instructions of Lord Chaitanya, instructions of Krishna, instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam, fundamental instructions. And it's easy to give lip service, and it's another thing to give heartfelt service to those teachings, to say, but not really feel what that message is. So my answer to your question is by the purification of taking the message of our founder Acharya to heart, and then giving direction to one's life based upon it's similar to what Narada said to Vyas. Fix your mind on the personality of Godhead and complete absorption, and then you write. So if Vyasa's service was writing, our service may be whatever our service may be. But it's the principle, fixing within one's heart the instruction, in this case Narada. So my experience was the insignificant service of being the pot washer. From being a college graduate and heading for medical school, driving to the Boston Temple, showing up just in time for the Sunday feast, they patted me on the back and said, "Oh, welcome. Can you wash the pots?" I'm hungry. I didn't say, I just, I'll wash the pots. "Oh, you're doing such a good job. Can you wash the pots every day?" Long story short, the instruction, well, it's a little bit longer. The instruction was, Prabhupada said, and it's true, when you're cleansing Krishna's pots, you're cleansing your heart. And being a smart aleck, I was thinking in my mind, but didn't say it. "Oh yeah? Why don't you stand next to me and help me?" I didn't say it though. "Oh, you're doing that later. You're doing such a good job." Here's another Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said, you should cleanse the pot so nicely that you can see yourself in the bottom of the pot. Prabhupada said. So in those days, we didn't have money to buy pots. There was just used pots. So there was the black, yucky stuff in the bottom of the pot. And I didn't understand where the food went. It was where the flame went. You should wash it, so cleanse it. So it took a month of washing pots and with the mood of what Prabhupada said rather than harumph. What am I doing washing pots? I can do, come on. The obstacle was pride. Not the obstacle was something else. So making the heart clean was the mission, and doing the washing of the pot with the purpose that Prabhupada said, this will make your heart clean. And I got some realization from doing that. And then down to the day, a tap on the shoulder. "We found another pot washer. Would you like to go on Harinam?" And then, the light went on. It's true. It's not that because I want Harinam and not washing pots, then therefore that's the better service. It's, so back to the answer to your question, take the instructions of the spiritual master to heart. Because it's the means to get purification necessary to realize what his gift is, was, and is. And if one doesn't do that, then you're going to be floundering in La La Land with something different. the kaleidoscope moves and the picture is different this time, that time. Krishna's mercy, fundamental lesson from the first month I was in the Hare Krishna temple. Anyway, it's still with me. And that's my answer to your question. I'm looking at the clock and it says 8:30. It also says it's Sunday, in case you didn't know what day of the week it is. The clock will tell you. I think I should end so we can keep our schedule. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.